speaker is Cassandra, who's originally from Zimbabwe. And she trained with the Big Four in Zimbabwe and got her qualification and spoke to us. And with experience in mixed sector portfolio, but with some financial services, automotive, insurance, telecoms. She had good experience and good appraisals and um, did very well at interview and got a job in Malta. So I'm going to pass you over to Cassandra now to hear directly from
Directly
her.
from.
Hello,
Thank you so
Cassandra.
much. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Cassandra Guerra. I'm a chartered accountant, currently working as an audit manager here in Malta. My relocation journey to Malta began in 2024 through the support and the guidance that I got from Think Global Recruitment. So today I'm just going to share a bit of my experience from what inspired me to move to Malta. Secondly, the settling in process and how I've managed to grow from 2024 till to date. So just to start off, my dream of moving abroad, like everyone else, didn't just come from Norway. I had a couple of people that I looked up to. These were my former colleagues. When they moved abroad, I admired how their careers progressed in a positive way. And at that point in time when I wanted to make a move, I wasn't sure where I really wanted to go at that time. So I applied to a couple of firms in different countries, but I was not successful. But that changed when I reached out to the global recruitment team because what they did, we had a discussion whereby I gave them a background where I was coming from, my goals, what I wanted to do, where I see myself in the next couple of years. So fortunately, around that time, that's where my opportunity to come in Malta came. So they provided a couple of links where I had to do my own research to see if Malta was somewhere I would see myself in the coming few years. So during my research, there are things that captured my attention, which I think for some of you who might want to consider coming to Europe might find it interesting. Firstly, coming to Malta gave me access to 29 different countries within the Schengen area. At, at 29 access to 29 countries at an affordable price. What do I mean at an affordable cost? In the sense that you get to travel to these 29 destinations at a lower and affordable flight tickets. You can actually get a return ticket for as low as 40 euro. So outside of your working hours, you can manage to travel over the weekend to do something else outside from work. Secondly, the transport system here in Malta is free, provided that you have your bus card. So that simply means that you would have reduced your day-to-day expenses. You don't have to incur any transport-related cost unless there are in rare circumstances whereby you need to probably use your Bolt, your Uber or taxi to go from one point to the other. But overall, the commuting process is quite smooth and you don't have to incur any cost related to your transport related. Thirdly, Malta is a small island. To me, it presented opportunities for me to connect with people from different countries, different background. So you find that when you connect with one person, that person introduces you to another person who knows another person. So that sort of motivated me to make the move to come to Malta. Aside from that, the weather here in Malta is nice and sunny. It's inviting. You've got 6 months of beach season. So throughout the year, of got your 6 months. You can go to the beach after you're done with work. Especially now that in summer we're now working reduced hours. So after you close off at work. You close off at work at 2 p.m. You can actually go to the beach. So fast forward, I had my interview. and I managed to secure a job here in Malta. I started the visa process. The visa process is quite simple and easy. It's smooth in the sense that you spend about 6 to 8 weeks waiting for your visa. You submit your application, all the required documents that you submit, and you have an interview, a virtual interview, where they will be just verifying whether the information you would have provided is correct. In my case, the only drawback that I faced during the visa application process was that we didn't have a Malta embassy. So I actually had to travel to another country to process my visa. But bear in mind, these costs will get reimbursed depending on the company because they are considered as part of your relocation costs. Moving on, whilst I was waiting for my visa, that's when I started the whole accommodation process. I think most of you would be interested in this part because that's the most frustrating part when you are coming from a different country, you don't know how the accommodation system works. So in my case, I was provided with a booklet whereby they were providing me on with it with information that I needed to know prior to my arrival here in Malta, and this included the whole accommodation process. So the accommodation process here in Malta is simple. You contact a realtor to help you look for accommodation. My recommendation when it comes to looking for accommodation is that you contact a registered realtor to avoid being scammed. You find these companies have got registered websites. So maybe if you're considering coming to Malta, you secure a job in Malta, try to reach out to people. I would recommend you reach out to people via LinkedIn and just confirm, or maybe if you use if through Think Global Recruitment, they have people who are already in who have relocated to certain countries that you would want to move to. So you get your list, you start looking for your accommodation via a router. Secondly, to cut the accommodation costs, for me currently, I'm staying with a couple of my colleagues from Zimbabwe. So if you look for a shared apartment, the rental costs are slightly lower as compared to renting an apartment on your own. Then, in terms of accommodation, it's not difficult to get an apartment. It's easy, especially if you're getting assistance from a realtor. So moving on, my transition from my previous role as a senior associate in Zimbabwe to a senior associate here in Malta, the process was quite smooth because I was moving from the same firm. The firm that I worked in my home country was the same firm that I was doing here in Malta. So the process was quite smooth. But however, like any other company, they've got their own way of doing things. So I was open to learn and to adapt on how they do things such that I won't find the whole relocation process and the whole transition process being difficult. So I managed to learn over the period. I think the first 3 months I'd already adjusted to the system. In terms of my colleagues that I work with, they are quite helpful and quite friendly. So you should be open to interact because that's how you learn how the systems work in a particular company. Maybe my drawback when I got here was that I wasn't familiar with the industry that I was assigned, but I took it upon myself to make use of the available resources just to familiarize myself how the industry operates. Basically, in overall, just this process has been rewarding in the sense that I'm someone who loves to travel a lot, and I get to experience that here in Malta during my weekends, or at least once every 2 to 3 months. I get to travel and explore new places, new cultures, food, and everything. Secondly, we during summer we work reduced hours, which is a plus because you get to do other things aside from work. Thirdly, it has offered me an opportunity to connect with people from different backgrounds, different countries, different cultures, which is something that you need, especially for your professional growth. Aside from that, I would like to leave this to you. As I mentioned earlier, when I initially started applying, I had challenges in terms of securing a place. But once I reached out to Think Global Recruitment, my story changed. So I highly recommend that you reach out to Think Global Recruitment. They'll help you throughout the process from the interview process. I was confident for the first time. I was actually confident when I was having my interviews. Aside from that, they are with you every step of the way from your interview until the point that you settle in, and they remain their communications lines open. Lastly, just to conclude, this journey has taught me the importance of open, being honest and open to learn, because these are some of the things that have helped me to grow from my role as a senior associate to being promoted to an audit manager. So I highly recommend that you maintain your ethics and you remain open to learn. And at this point, as you're looking for opportunities, I recommend that you stay open to opportunities and allow think Global Recruitment to guide and support you. You probably in the next coming year, you'll be the one um, sharing with us your story. Thank you so much.
Uh, Thank you very much, Cassandra. Already got a couple of questions for you, but we'll do the questions at the end. We're going to say thanks to Cassandra, and now we're going to move to the Caribbean, Bermuda. They're not actually that close to each other, but they are sort of grouped together as financial services centres. But the Caribbean being sort of south between North and South America, and Bermuda is a significantly further north, just off the east coast of Florida. So our speaker is called Lisen, originally from South Africa. Listen is a CA who's built his career in audit and financial services. He worked with Grant Thornton before he made the move to Bermuda, where he now works with KPMG in Bermuda. He had the benefit of specializing in insurance, reinsurance, investment, sort of financial services areas, which is sought after in certain areas in the Caribbean and Bermuda. And I think we're going to go to Listen, who will tell you a little bit about his journey now and his background. So over to you, Listen.
Thank you so much. Can you just confirm if you can hear me, please?
Yes, yes.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, depending on where you are. Yeah, where I am right now is like 8:22 in the morning. So it's a good morning to everybody from my perspective. Thank you so much. As Gramont has said already, I am Lisen Timire, and I am originally actually from Zimbabwe, but I was based in South Africa for quite some time. Basically, my story is quite similar to Cassandra's story in so many different ways, apart from the fact that obviously I actually moved from a mid TFM, Grand Thornton, to KPMG in Bermuda. And then to kick off on this, I'll just give a background of my career before I actually made the move to Bermuda with the help of Think Global as well. Actually, these guys are amazing. The at the point in time when I started actually speaking to these guys, that's when everything basically transformed. Now seeing the vision of where I'm going to land, in my career. So basically, I started with Grand Thornton. I started in South Africa, even from university and stuff. And then when I finished university, basically I did my articles with Grand Thornton in South Africa, and then after my articles in Grand Thornton with South Africa, basically that's when I transitioned to Bermuda. So I did not really operate that much as a senior in South Africa. I basically just did the training to qualify to become a chartered accountant. The advantage that I had basically at that point in time was that like as Cremont said already, I was focusing primarily on the financial service sector in South Africa, with the primary focus on the insurance industry, basically, and the investments and asset management. So it was really a good advantage from my perspective. It was really something that helped me a lot to basically transition into the Bermuda industry. Yeah, so at the time when I finished my articles, I was faced with some kind of like a difficult decision. Basically, I was promoted to manager at Grant Thornton. At the time when I finished, my articles there. But then that's when, like, Think Global kicks in, and, like, it was really an amazing opportunity. They, like, presented the opportunity that they had in Bermuda and opportunities that they had in Cayman, basically. But because I had so much, insurance experience, like Bermuda really aligned with what, with my, the experience that I had, because Bermuda is basically an insurance hub, actually one of the global insurance hubs. So basically, that's why, like, the transition that I had to basically to come to Bermuda. But, like, at the time when I was supposed to make a decision of whether to stay at Grant Thornton in South Africa, and or like as an audit manager, or move to KPMG as an audit senior, like, it was kind of a complex decision that I had to make. But then Think Global, kicked in, and, like, gave me a whole lot of different perspective about this. And then also from my personal perspective, also I needed to have, like, international experience, and obviously operate at a global stage. And then if you're operating say from a Bermuda market, you're operating at the core, or, like, center of the insurance industry, which is something that was, like, key to make me decide to actually come to Bermuda as a senior. And then also the second thing was, basically, I wanted to make sure that I do not kickstart, like, being a manager that side, and then when I decide to then move, and then go down again as a senior. Because what generally happens is that if you move from South Africa, Zimbabwe, and all the countries mostly in Africa, and you move, to overseas, basically you get like a step down most of the time. So I just wanted to make sure that, like, as I was starting, as a senior, I'm actually just getting in head on, from articles, from my training, so that I do not lose some years there in terms of career progression. So from that perspective, basically, I decided to move to Bermuda, and then it turned out to be great. And just to give a bit of background there on the process that I had to go through with Think Global, basically. I had a guy called Tyrone that helped me a lot, and that guy basically had to work with me, like, on a every day basically basis. He would just call me to catch up. What are you thinking? Listen, this is the interview is coming up. Let's prepare for the interview. And then we go through, like, a Bermuda. We go through, like, the interview process. We go through the knowledge and the information that he had basically on what was going to be asked in the interviews, which really helped a lot, because it was like every day was an interview. I had, like, it was basically he would be the interviewer and then he to respond to the question that he's asking, which was really amazing. Because when I then get to the actual interview, it actually felt like those other days that I was just going through, which helped a lot actually with confidence, and with answering the questions with the right information, and getting to the point and all that. That was really very, very helpful. And then from the applications as well, like, he did all the applications, and we even had the Think Global CV templates that we needed to use to do the applications, which was really great. So it was amazing. And then when I moved basically from South Africa, I joined KPMG here in Bermuda. And then, like, I realized, obviously because of so much uncertainty, I did not know exactly how that was going to go. But, like, to my surprise, it turned out to be, one of the best decisions that I have made so far. And then for a primary reason, like, moving to Bermuda, like, showed me how diverse Bermuda is, basically. To give a perspective to that, like, within, say, for example, KPMG, you would realize that, in the office of, like, more than 200 professionals, you might realize that 80% of the professionals are experts from all over the world. So the environment does not feel like an foreign place. It feels just like a community that is coming together. Everybody's got different perspective, and they're coming together basically to get the job done here at KPMG. And then this is the case across the island. Most people, like in the financial services sector here, are people that are moving from around the world, which then helps to create a community, which then means that majority of the people that you'll be dealing with are basically people that are moving from around the world, which means that there are people who are willing to to create, like those atmospheres that you need, like communities, like people that you would actually be able to say, okay, I've to create like family, like friends, like if I should put it that way, to say, what, is, for example, here at KPMG, we've got a lot of activities that people do, and we've got the culture where people are actually very outgoing. We've got the culture where it's a culture where people have got, like a lot in the community, where we give back a lot, because, like people have to find ways to come together, because we're all coming from around the world, so we need to find ways to come together. That creates a culture where people actually are outgoing, people are out there, like where you have communities and all that. So it never really, after some time, feels like you've actually moved to a new country, because then you would create those new connections, new friends, like and a community that you need to thrive in an international space. I would say that is one of the most unique things that I've realized when I moved to Bermuda. And then the other thing is, when I moved to Bermuda, I realized that, like there is a very rewarding work, fulfilling work, in the sense that, like the work that we do here is very, very, very interesting. From the insurance perspective. I'm speaking from the insurance now, but my primary focus is in insurance now. Like it's very interesting. Like there is very direct relationship between the amount of work that we need to put in, especially in the busy season, and the reward. Like Bermuda is one of the highest paying places in the world. Actually, if I put it, like there is the reward for chartered accountants in Bermuda is really just up there. And then also the work is very autonomous, which means that, like a whole lot of time is different to the work that we were doing in South Africa, where you've got a whole lot of, like control in the things that you do. Here you are expected to take, like charge and responsibility, basically, for your own work, which you actually, that's why we have even flexible working hours and all that, which is really, really, really good. Something that I've realized that, like makes the work itself even become more interesting, where sometimes you even allowed to, like work away, like from home. Say, for example, sometimes people work from South Africa, from Zimbabwe, from the UK, from around the world, like depending on the business needs, basically. Yeah, so those are the, like some of the things that I find, like most interesting about the move to Bermuda. And then, like, also the culture, right? The culture here is very friendly. The people are friendly. It's really nice. You would never really feel like you're in a foreign country. Basically, it's always that culture of that, like is for the people. You know what I mean? Like when you get into, like the buses, and when you got into, like transport, and in the world, basically around Bermuda, basically everybody is very friendly, everybody is welcoming. Like the things that we do here, like we do the same things that we would then do when we were back home. Like what I mean? It's a very safe place. Here, when I was in South Africa, you wouldn't walk at night, like from the office when it's busy season. Like you wouldn't, like you would be scared for your life, right? But here, like it's like one of the safest places I have been. Like, you could literally walk around at night with your laptop, in your backpack, and you get home safely. You're not worried. Nobody's worried about you. Like, it's one of the very, interesting thing that I've seen. Also, I've also seen that, like, there is also, like, I've just said that the very, very direct link between, reward and the amount of effort that you put in the work. Like, for example, recently, like I said, my story is kind of very, very similar to Cassandra, because, like I moved, like about 1 year 6 months back, but right now, recently, I've just recently been promoted to manager as well at KPMG, which is really good. And given the transition that I had to go through, moving from a mid-tier firm and having to learn KPMG and systems and everything, but because of the amount of effort and the link between that effort and reward, and because of the environment that is that is for people who are actually working hard and delivering, to the firm's needs, you get those opportunities basically to be promoted and become, a key team player at the firm. So that is something that I've realized, over the past couple of months that I've been in Bermuda, right? And then the other thing that I've realized as well, as I moved to Bermuda, is that, like, if, say, for example, within KPMG, right, we have got a lot, of activities that we do. We have got a lot. The firm itself is not only about, like, work itself. Like, the firm itself, like, is people centered. This is now specific to KPMG. Those who are interested in moving to KPMG, like, I advise strongly that, like, it's the right place to be for me. Like, as I've realized, basically the firm itself creates, like, a cultures, basically, that are people centered. Like, everything that we do here is people centric. Basically, we would wake up, on a random day, and you go to the KPMG golf day. You would wake up on a random day and you go, like, you're having, like, pool tournament within the firm. We would wake up on a random day, and, like, you have, like, employee appreciations and all that. Like, and you would have, like, busy season drinks. You would have, like, busy season, smoothies, etc. Like, something that is, like, just there to help people, like, push forward. And one of the most interesting part about all that is that, like, it happens all this while we are in the middle of busy season. Like, every person, like, just come in, is excited. Like, people have got, like, the friendly atmosphere that helps you to go through that busy season, because the busy season is, like, about how many months? 4 months in a year. Like, for example, right now we are in summer. It's no longer as that busy, is downtime, basically. But you need to go through the busy season, like, which is like 4 months, in a year. And then in that period, you won't even feel that, like, how that busy season ended, because every person, there is energy within the firm, and, like, the firm does everything that it can to basically support its people, which is really something that is amazing. And that is something that I actually like the most about, like, moving to Bermuda. And another thing is, when going back to think global, way after I have moved to Bermuda, I was still in touch with Tyrone. Tyrone was still, like, in touch with me, and, like, communicating, asking, following up on, like, oh, okay, how is it going? How did you settle in, and all that? Like, did you find accommodation? Have you seen the links that I've provided you? etc. Which was amazing, literally, because you could see that the person is genuinely interested in your transition, right? Which was basically amazing. And, like, it helped a lot as well to know that, you've got people that are interested, in your success, in your career progression. And that is, like, the kind of folks that we're dealing with at Think Global, which was amazing. So, yeah. Going back to the Bermuda, market, the maybe that just now the normal things that you need to go through, everybody that needs to go through, like, the visa processes. The firm itself assists you with basically your visa processing and stuff. Once you get the job, all you need to do is to provide them with your documents and stuff, and that will help you to basically apply the work permit here in Bermuda. Your responsibility would be to apply the transit visa, for because, like, to come to Bermuda, you would need transit visas, either the USA or, like, the UK or Canada. So whatever that is easier for you, or or affordable. There are a lot of considerations that you need to take into account for that. Yeah, but, like, that is one thing that is in your responsibility, but then it's still covered by the firm. The firms give you, like, relocation allowance that covers all the costs that you have incurred, for you to get to Bermuda. And then the other thing that maybe I would just mention is the cost of housing and the housing itself. The housing here in Bermuda is one of also the stressful thing. Like, housing is always the one of the stressful thing, because, like, it is quite, like, the island is quite small. if I should say that. So like the demand for housing is very high. So sometimes like it may take some time to get like a proper housing, but you'd always obviously get support from the firm. You get support because the firm give you like 2 weeks up to to a month, depending on the season that you join. But then while you are looking for accommodation, and then they support you with giving you like information that you need to be able to get the accommodation. And then they'll give you like buddies, people that would support you, and they help you to actually look for accommodation. So it is always helpful for you to reach out to the people that are already in Bermuda, even via LinkedIn and all that, when you are in the process of getting your interviews and stuff, and when you get the job, and then process of getting the work permits and stuff. It's good to just reach out to people that are already in Bermuda, and then you just help they just help you basically with the process, of getting housing and all that. Yeah. So having said that, without taking all the time here, like I just wanted to actually say thank you to Abigail and Cramon for giving us this opportunity to share the stories that we have with the folks, that are looking forward to actually move internationally. And like all that I can say, like as a last thing, is that like I have never regretted moving overseas. I think it is one of the best decisions that I have made. And like operating at a global stage just like elevates you in a different way from a career perspective. So like I encourage you guys to try to give think global your best, your best efforts. You wake up every day, like I said, I used to wake up every day and talk to Tyrone on think global, and like it was really a rewarding process, because at the end of the day that elevated me. Like within 1 year 6 months now, I'm an audit manager, and like thinking about like the next steps of my life. I think it's one of the most rewarding experiences and rewarding choices that I have made so far. Yeah, thank you, Abigail. Thanks, Karen.
Well, thanks very much, Listen. You're looking very smart there in your suit, by the way, in the photo we're seeing on screen in the KPMG offices, and your enthusiasm jumps out from the screen. So it's a joy. It's a joy helping people, and we do keep in touch because we do enjoy hearing about how you're getting on after you've made the move. It's important to us, and to be honest, it's fun. It's good hearing your adventures and your stories. That's why we do it. So next up, we're going to hear from a lady who has made the move from the Caribbean, not quite where Listen is, but close. Gail is originally from the British Virgin Islands, and she had a significant amount of experience. She had she's got 12 years experience in various firms, and she's also worked in the Big Four and mid-tier firms in the Caribbean. And we helped her relocate to Guernsey, which is part of the Channel Islands, which is offshore UK, where she now works for a Big Four firm. And Gail was assisted by the fact that if the British Virgin Islands qualifies you for a British passport. So, without saying too much about Gail's career, I'm going to hand you over to Gail right now.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to speak on this lovely panel. So, as Kramer said, I am from the British Virgin Islands, also known as the sailing capital of the world. And the reason why I even decided to make a move from the tropical islands of the British Virgin Islands is because I really wanted international experience, one, and I also wanted to develop my experience in hedge fund accounting and audit. Yes, so I actually, so it started out where I actually applied for a job in Turks and Caicos through Global. And after my first one-on-one meeting with Abigail, she suggested, why not try Europe or UK or London? And my initial reaction was like, I come from a small island and it's very intimidating to say to go to a big country like London. So that is when she introduced Guernsey to me. First time I heard of it. And I did some research and realized like it's a financial services industry similar to BVI, except it's more mature. And the first thing that came to my mind is more mature mean more exposure, more product, more wealth management, more asset management audits. So I jumped on it. So now I'm here. Also, a little background about me. As Freeman said, I have a number of experience in the financial services industry, and the reason being, because I'm not young like the other speakers, is I actually took the mature route in terms of getting qualified. So I became a single mom, focused on that, then move into audit. And while working in audit, I work on my chartered accountant, ACCA to be specific, and then became qualified in 2021. And during this time, it was always my intention when I get qualified, I will relocate. So, so yes, I think that's the background for me. In terms of the visa process, like Kramer said earlier, I'm a holder of a UK passport because I'm a British Virgin Islander, overseas territory of the United Kingdom. So because of that, I was exempted from the visa process, but nevertheless, I was still required to get a work permit. So my advice is to make sure that you have all the documents at hand, especially the reference letter. I guess every country is different. In my case, I had everything at hand. It's just that I needed a reference letter. So the minute you get the offer letter, start working on all the documents. Once I handed it over to EY, which I'm working at now, they handle everything. So it was really a seamless transition for me. And actually, I got my work permit like almost a month before I traveled. And yes, I guess being from the BVI was a perk and also using my UK passport. Um, in terms of my transition here in Guernsey, I really love it. If you appreciate the quieter, easygoing way of life, Guernsey is a place. I would say when it comes to accommodation, it is very competitive. It could be kind of like it's difficult. I'm not gonna lie. My advice is one, although the accommodation here is very competitive, there are always accommodation and apartments coming up. So the minute you get the offer letter, I would advise that you get in contact with the real estate, sign up with them, search, and once you come here, you will be put in accommodation temporarily for I think it was 2 weeks. My advice again, because of how difficult the market is here, the minute you get, I suggest that you extend it by 2 weeks and stay for at least a month because it is that difficult. And if you're a picky chooser, I would even suggest that you get a short-term accommodation while you really look for a place that you like. Um, and that's one of the things I wish I knew then, what I knew now. Um, the in terms of the cost of living, I would say rent is the highest because it's very competitive. But everything else, I would say it is affordable. Comparing it back to home is very affordable. Um, and I would also say that's the biggest difference when I compare Guernsey to BVI. But in its own rights, Guernsey is very beautiful. Um, I I would say like in terms of challenges, I wouldn't really say I had any challenge here. Everyone been so welcoming and so accommodating, especially me probably being the only BV Islander on the island. Um, I get to experience different culture, different way of life, which is one of the passion of mine. The only challenge I would say is the culture shock. It will hit you, no matter how nice or beautiful a place is. And I would just say to just be patient with yourself and, take your time. And after a while, you will get adjusted to it. I'm here about 8 months, and I think it's safe to say I'm over that. Uh, the best thing in my role, to there's so much good thing. if I have to go through them, I think I'll be here all day. But I will say the best thing for me is one, I get to take more ownership of my work. I get to share my knowledge more with the associates. Um, I get exposed to even more industries, more funds, more asset management, more products. I really like that, and also like I, you know, I don't even know, but I guess I manage my work-life balance better since I came here. So I want to say a special thank you to Think Global and especially Abigail because if she never mentioned the word Guernsey, I would not been here. And she was very supportive in the process, just like the first speaker said. She was there during the interview process. She was there during when I got the offer letter. She was there when I during the visa sorry, not visa, work permit application process, during traveling, because I even had a mishap where I got bumped from my flight and then I lost my other flight and it was a weekend, so I had no one in the office to contact, and Abigail was there every step of the way. I mean, like, she was messaging me every hour on the hour, like, you okay, you fine. She was there until I reached into Guernsey, and she's still there. Like, I would say right now, she's like my main point of contact because she checks in on me all the time. And I want to say again, thank you, and thank you for all the advice, and thank you for the help, and thank you for getting me here. So now I open the floor.
That's great, Gail. Thank you very much. Now, just going to hand over to Abigail in a second, but I'm aware that one of our guests has a client meeting shortly. So I'm going to do a couple of questions for Cassandra. Are you still with us, Cassandra?
Yes, I'm
Some
here.
questions. So I'm going to do Cassandra's questions just now, and then Abigail's going to talk about Australia and New Zealand, and then I've got some questions for Listen and Gail. So I think I've got three questions for you, Cassandra. One of the questions was, did you move as a manager? Now I happen to know that you didn't, so at least I don't think you did. So what did you have to do to get promoted to manager?
Okay, for me to get promoted, I believe it was more of me having to put in the work. That is by making sure that I deliver whenever I'm assigned specific tasks. And you should be open in instances where you know that you have got specific set deadlines and you're not able to meet those specific deadlines. You're supposed to communicate with your team so that everyone is aware, and if there are alternatives that can be taken to make sure that you meet your set deadlines. Aside from that, I had regular catch-up meetings with my coach. So what happens when you move? In my case, I'm at PwC. So what happens is that you are assigned a coach. A coach is someone who's responsible for your career development, whom you discuss how, like, the one who's responsible for having regular updates with you after a certain engagement. You have a catch up. How did the engagement go? Are there areas of improvement that have been mentioned by your previous manager that you would have worked with? So basically, I would say it's a matter of putting in the work. Secondly, I would say those regular update meetings with my coach, where she helped me identify my areas of weaknesses that I needed to work on, and areas that they believe that, okay, I was good at doing something, so I needed to maintain. So it's basically putting in the work and have regular communication with whoever. Is it your manager? Maybe it's a different setup. If you don't have like a coach, in my case,
Yeah.
similar to my case, maybe you have to reach out to the people that you're working with.
Is everyone treated equally in the firm? You know, you're coming in as someone from overseas, working in a firm where there's lots of Maltese people. Is everyone treated based on merit?
I believe from my experience in the past 2 years, everyone is treated equally. There is
Okay.
no discrimination that you're coming from you are a non-Maltese, so you're treated differently. I've never experienced that. So in terms, they're actually welcoming people in the group.
Okay.
So you find that they try to host a couple of events, and they encourage that to be mix and mingle. And even when you are working, they try to strike a balance that for instance, in my case, some of my engagements, I work with Maltese, Filipinos, and other people from different countries. So it's in my case, I think
Okay.
everyone is treated equally, and
That's
everyone
great.
has got an equal chance.
And you mentioned that you were dropped in to do some new industries you'd not worked in before. So well done on being promoted, even though you've been dropped into new industries. What support was there for you to, when you were dropped it, what new industry were you dropped into, and what support was available, or were you provided with to help you adapt?
Okay, so currently I'm focusing on iGaming, asset management, and funds. So basically, what the firm did was that whenever I was assigned on an engagement, right, they would take you through maybe the client, then they would recommend a couple of trainings that you needed to take. So they're already pre-recorded trainings that you make reference to. Aside from that, you can get coaching from people who have got experience in that specific industry, because already in our group, for example, we've got iGaming champions, we've got assets and funds champions, so you can easily reach out to those people. So it's quite manageable because you know that you've got trainings and people who are willing to coach you where you're not sure.
Okay. You also mentioned that you work reduced hours at the moment because it's quiet season. I'm aware that this is something that happens in Malta. Can you just tell us, how what are the reduced hours and how long does this last for?
Okay. So in terms of the reduced hours, a normal working day under normal circumstances is if it's not summer, it's from 8:30 to 5:30. So now that it's now summer, we work from 8:30 to 2 p.m. And for this usually lasts from July to September, but specifically July, it's only on Fridays. Then the whole of August is from 8:30 to 2 p.m.
Okay, so is it just Fridays or is it every day?
For July, it's just mainly Fridays. Then Saturday. Then for August, it's every day
Oh, great.
from 8:30 to 5:30. Yes.
Okay, that's great. And the last question for you, Cassandra, which I'm going to ask each person is, what was the best unexpected thing to come out of the move?
The unexpected thing. To be honest, well, that's a hard question. Okay, the unexpected thing maybe it's in terms of the food here. They've got specific diet that they have here, but then with time, because I managed to identify a couple of Africans, I was able to then um, find other stores where we can get food that I can relate to, that I was used to. I think that's one of my expected things, because I expected that probably they would have, given that they would have food maybe from South Africa and all that. Yeah.
Okay, well, good. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for well, thanks for your participation today in the questions. Now we're going to move to Australia, where Abigail is going to talk about Australia because she actually made the move from the UK to Australia herself and is able to speak firsthand. I've also lived and worked in Australia, and it's fabulous. Uh, so, Abigail, how's your throat? Are you
My
okay?
my throat's fine. I am conscious of timing though, and I'm thinking maybe we could do Australia another time, but I will flick through briefly because also the other thing was some of our speakers couldn't come today from Australia and New Zealand just because the time zones and because of the um and because it's busy season right now. So a few other things like that. And I'm more than happy to answer questions in the Q&A about Australia and moving to Australia or New Zealand, having done that. I will quickly highlight just some one of the people that I'd asked to speak today. He couldn't make it, but I did say to him, has he got any advice for anybody? And I thought this was some really good advice from Ferdy. Ferdy worked for over 5 years with the Big Four firm in Melbourne that we moved him to, and then he secured a job as a finance manager. So giving you a demonstration that this can happen. We asked him what advice he'd give, and he said, be open to change and willing to learn the difference in corporate culture. People see the world through different lenses. So stay mindful that your common sense may not be so common elsewhere. Give the country a fair chance. Moving away from home brings highs and lows, but with the right mindset, things grow easier and better with time. And I think some of that's reflected in what we've been hearing today from everybody. But he's doing so well in his new job there as well. And these are some other people we were going to go through their journeys, but what I'm going to do is go to the Q&A and focus on that because we've got the attention today of these wonderful speakers and Gaelle and Lisen. So I'm going to go to them and then we'll do a focus on Australia later on. So
Okay, Gaelle and Lisen, are you ready to answer questions? So going to go
Um,
to Lisen first. Listen, what's the biggest difference in doing, the work in Bermuda compared to your previous career? What's the biggest difference in the work environment?
Okay. Thank you, Cramond. The biggest difference that I've observed myself is that back in South Africa, there was not a lot of autonomy in terms of the way that you do your work, and in terms of also flexibility in terms of your working hours. Basically, you would be expected to be in the office at a certain time, and you'd be expected to do the job, a certain way. That's so much controlled, and here you've got so much autonomy in the way that you do your work, and also you've got I must say you are basically in charge of the job that you're doing, and you have to see it through, right? So it gives you more accountability and responsibility, which is good for your professional growth, basically. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Gaelle, over to you. You're in the Channel Islands between mainland Europe and the UK. Where have you traveled to so far, or where have you got plans to travel to in the next 12 months?
uh, so I'm still settling in, so I haven't gotten the chance to travel to anywhere. Um, but my plan is one is to visit the neighboring island, the neighboring Channel Island, actually the end of this month, which is my birthday. Um, the office is planning a trip to Herms. Herms, I hope I say it right. Um, I also interested in visiting Sac and Alderney outside of the Channel Island. I'm interested in taking the ferry over to France. It sounds so exotic to me because being from the Caribbean and here in France is like, wow. And just knowing that it's just a ferry a right away. Another place I'm keenly interested in is visiting Montenegro. So yes, but before then, I think there's a lot to explore on Guernsey.
Okay, that's good. Back to Listen. You mentioned something about KPMG. What opportunity is there for you to do social things and sports at KPMG, and how did the firm promote that? And have you taken up any new sports since moving to Bermuda?
Yes, 100%. That's a very good question, actually. So there are a lot of sport activities that we do here at KPMG. Actually, now I'm very much fan of golf, just because of of the KPMG golf days that we do, where we basically just go as the entire firm and play golf. There is also sometimes soccer. Basically, we've got some inter firm soccer games that we do here, where basically say, for example, KPMG KMG is playing against PwC or something like that, which is quite interesting. And every weekend, basically because of that interest and like, because of, the way that this is promoted at the firm, we basically try to, schedule some, sporting activities where we actually have groups, say on teams and something of people who likes, sports, and like they've got like so many different, types of sports for different people, even, netball. Sometimes I was in the netball league where, like, obviously there would have been like, it would be like structured in such a way that there is equal opportunities for everybody within the firm. And then there's also volleyball leagues that people start, like, during the summer, and people go to beach volleyballs and stuff, which is quite interesting. So yeah.
Okay, that's good. Right, Gail, perhaps you can answer. How easy is it to make friends in the Channel Islands? If you're coming from a different country.
I find it was super easy, but if you meet me, you notice I have a very bubbly personality. But the minute that I came to work, everyone was intrigued because, I'm the new girl from the Caribbean. Outside of work, everyone is so warm and friendly. Sometimes it's like, I know that Guernsey is like similar in size compared to Tatola, that's the island I came from, but it's so like interesting when I'm walking on the road, I'm hearing someone calling my name, or if I go to the cafe or restaurant, I've been there so frequent they already know what I'm going to order. If they see me outside of the business establishment, they come and they talk to me. Oh, and the people are so friendly and helpful. I remember when I just came here and I was walking and I was lost. I was literally lost. And this lady, she just saw this lost look on my face and she walked up to me and said, "Are you lost? Where are you trying to go to?" And that been happening a lot. Like even to this day, if I'm just like talking and I'm asking where to get to some place, someone will chime in and say, "Oh, you can get there by taking this road." So outside of the office, everyone is very warm and accommodating, and in the office, it's like a family environment.
Okay, good. I've got three more questions. One. I'll come back to you in a minute, Gail, but it'll be what's the best unexpected thing? So if you can think about that for a second. Back to Listen. Listen, have you been able to travel anywhere? Because I'm aware that Bermuda's, relatively, there's not so many places that are within easy reach. Or are you going to tell me different? Have you been to the USA? Where have you got plans to travel to? Listen.
Right, that's a good question as well. Yeah, so from Bermuda, you are the closest place is the US, New York. So most people travel to the US, for visits and for holidays. But like actually, so far I've only traveled to Canada. So also there are direct flights to Canada, to Toronto and the likes. Usually like with the US, now that's happening with like, visa restrictions. Sometimes like it's kind of hard for some people, but then like that's the closest, place that you could travel to. And then also the UK, there are direct flights to the UK as well. So you could travel to the UK. And then this August, actually, I'm planning to go to watch Manchester City match in the UK. Yeah.
Okay, have you been following the World Cup?
100%. I've been following the World Cup. It was quite interesting. Actually, yeah, in the film, we've got like a big screen where, like, when there's a World Cup game, people
Okay,
basically just go and sit in the cafeteria and watch the
okay.
match. Yeah.
So just one last question for you. Listen, what's the best unexpected thing that happened that you've got out of the move that maybe you didn't appreciate was going to happen or
All right, the best unexpected thing, like this is quite interesting. The best unexpected thing was the kind of the team that I walked into. Like I wouldn't have imagined being promoted to manager right now without the support of the team that I've been working with. Like, it has been like, an amazing, experience that I've had. Like, I have seen the best in people, basically from the perspective that, when I walked in, literally every day people would actually, not every day, like every Friday, probably people would basically just take you to, drinks and all that. Like, and you'll come back when you're at work, like, they give you the best, opportunity for you to be yourself, which actually resulted in me within 6 months, which I was still in probation. I became like, the lead senior on one of the biggest jobs within the firm. That gave me the platform to basically just, do well, and like now resulted in this promotion. So I think, yeah, the most unexpected thing are the people that I met, which was really
Brilliant.
amazing.
Okay, thank you for that, and thank you for your quick answers today. And over to Gail,
Thank you.
same question to you. What's the best unexpected thing to come out of your move?
The best unexpected thing I would have to say is like outside of wanting to get the international experiences, like my life goals. And it was surprising to me that I have a GP that is very hands-on. That's my doctor, and she put me on to so much different programs. One in particular is a social of bailiwick and also, a weight loss doctor. So I would say the best unexpected thing is that actually on a health program that's working for me outside of
Okay,
everything else.
that's great. So you're
Yes.
getting good medical support and
Yeah.
making friends easily, and
Mhm.
Listen is learning new sports and got promoted to manager, and uh, it's great stories. So thank you very much to the people that have made a move, giving up their time to speak today, and it's lovely to hear your stories. I think that wraps us up for today. Abigail will keep me right if I've missed anything, but otherwise, thank you very much for attending today, and look forward to hopefully helping many others make a move in future. Thank you.
Thank you, Cram, and thank you, Gail. Thank you, Listen. And obviously, Cassandra's not here anymore, but absolutely, it's been absolutely lovely having everybody along today. We will do another focus on Australia, as I mentioned, because we zoomed through Australia and New Zealand. We'll get some people to come from there, and please feel free to let us know if there's other countries you'd like to get the representatives coming from. And we do have next month, we will be doing the webinar on interview preparation. So we'll be going through the different techniques, etc. So the month after, we're having next month off because it's August and we find there's a lot less people around in August. So we'll be doing it from September, but we will get the other one lined up. And thank you again, guys. It's been great.
Bye for now. Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
so
having
much.
me.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.